There is so much happening across the globe right now, so much violence erupting. Yet right here in America this week, the average dumbed down American will be feeding their faces with more food than they know what to do with. Then after that, they'll go Christmas shopping. They'll stand in lines two blocks long to buy products that have been overpriced just for the holidays so that they can feed this narcissism. And they'll do it with money they don't even have. It's Saturday, November 23rd, 2019. You know, I think we're all guilty of this. We all take for granted that we live in the best country in the entire world. And I know a lot of people, that's going to trigger a lot of people who dislike America, who would like to see it turn into something else. We have a lot of communists that now live here in America who dislike and actually hate their own country. But this may trigger you. I love America. God bless this great country. God bless America, and God bless everybody out there today. I love this country. We take it for granted. And since we have been taking it for granted, this is why we are in the situation we are in with this political unbalance, this social divide, this economic uncertainty, because we've allowed it to happen. We've taken everything for granted. We've allowed ourselves to be addicted to television and movies and pharmaceuticals, and we have basically allowed an overthrow to take place here in America. We now have a welfare state that is turning into a communist country. And if we don't do anything about it, if we don't get up and start raising our voices, if we don't get out on social media, if we don't start talking to our friends, our churches, our associates, this country is in very, very big trouble because we have taken it for granted. Daily Mail today: riot police are engulfed in flames in Chile as demonstrators hurl petrol bombs. And it's just absolutely, if you go to look at the pictures, dailymail.com or anywhere over the internet, I mean, there are people just lit on fire with gasoline. It's really, really violent. But this, without a doubt, is on its way to America because so many people have been complacent, been asleep at the wheel, have allowed so much to take place, and now we're asking, how did this happen? How are we in $23 trillion of debt? Because we have been too busy doing other things, watching football, watching television, believing the media, while these politicians have bankrupted your Social Security, your pensions, and your country. On the Daily Mail today, in this article, protesters took to the streets in Santiago, Chile yesterday as part of ongoing protests over inequality. Do you think there's inequality here in America? We have the biggest wealth gap in our history. And people are starting to realize it, that the 1% are getting all the money. They're getting all the help. They're getting the bailouts. They're getting the cash. While 80% of America is just eroding. And maybe, you know, there's 10% there that are still doing well, but it's that 1% that is getting all the benefits. Fifth week of this protest, 24 people dead, 3,000 injured. Anybody that thinks that this can't happen in America is delusional. This can happen in America, and it can be much, much worse than what's happening in Chile. We have so much division here. These people are actually coming together. We have so much division here. We have so much wealth inequality here. There's just so much debt here. And by the way, Chile is the wealthiest, richest country in South America. Do you think a couple decades ago they ever thought that this was going to be happening in their country? Probably not. And look what's happening now. They're lighting the police on fire. Demands include improvements in education, healthcare, and the wildly criticized pension system. All of this is broken right here in America. And if you think that this can't happen in America, wait till you see the pension crisis unravel right here. You will see things you never thought were humanly possible in the United States of America. And for the people out there that think this is just make-believe, You're living in La La Land if you think this cannot happen. This is happening right now all over the world. Look at what's happening in Hong Kong. You know, it's really reassuring to see that there are people out there that love their countries, that are willing to give their lives for freedom, for democracy, for equality. Yeah, here in America, we burn our own flags while these other countries fly our flags. Now, I know that there's going to be trolls out there that just say this can't happen, when in fact it's already begun here in America. Just look at parts of America right now. They are third world countries. They are sinking like Chile right now. This is in the organicprepper.com. Millions of Americans are living without the basic amenities that most of us take for granted, such as electricity, flushing toilets, and clean running water. Have you taken a look at the infrastructure in many of your big cities and your big urban cities? Have you looked at the airports lately? Have you seen the amount of homeless people walking around in our cities? This is happening not just here in my area or Los Angeles or just in California, even though we have more homeless people than anybody, but it's happening all over the country. Skid Row has left Skid Row, and it is invading the entire United States of America. More than 2 million Americans in West Virginia, Alabama, Texas, and the Navajo Nation Reservation in the Southwest are living without clean running water or indoor plumbing. The 2 million figure includes 1.4 million people with homes who lack access to hot and cold running water, as well as a sink, a shower, or a flushing toilet, as well as over 500,000 people who are homeless Americans that don't have access to basic sanitation, bathrooms, running water. It's just so sad when I see these tent cities now popping up everywhere. You don't have to go to your big urban cities. They're now in the small towns. And again, as I've said in past videos, do not judge these people. Yes, there are many people with mental deficiencies, people that have drug addictions, but there are people out there, a good handful of people out there who ran into some bad luck. Medical bills, couldn't afford it, didn't have health care, didn't have insurance. And now their house was seized, their cars were seized, they had lost a job. If you don't have family members or friends to fall back on, most people in America are a paycheck away, maybe 2 paychecks away from being out on the streets. And many Americans are a flat tire away from being out in the streets. And people might laugh at that, but please don't, because I'm not joking. The reality is many people are a couple $100s away. That's how tight things are right now, that so many people are a couple $100 away from being out on the streets of America. And I find it literally appalling that we're allowing Americans to fall this far without any type of help, whether you have a drug addiction, a mental disability, or you just can't get a job. I just cannot believe that we continue to import people from all parts of the world, have the American taxpayer pay for it, while we have good people on the streets of America, vets on the streets of America. Yes, people who have conditions, but why aren't we helping those people instead of just pushing them over to the side so we can keep importing people from all over the world? Absolutely unacceptable. But we just keep importing people from around the world while the American citizen, the person that was born here, raised here, continues to suffer. There's cities throughout America where the drinking water is contaminated and nothing gets done. We're always told that there's not enough money to get this fixed, but there's always enough money to keep bringing people that shouldn't be here into this country, giving these people voting rights, giving them driver's licenses, giving them government subsidies, giving them jobs. Wow, we just take the Americans and push them over to the side and allow them to go live in a tent city or in a cardboard box. Unacceptable. Here in California, we now have rolling blackouts. We have hundreds of thousands of people walking the streets here in California, homeless, sleeping on the streets. We now have medieval diseases coming back here on the streets of America, right here in Los Angeles. Medieval diseases now making a comeback because of the sanitation disaster that is happening in our urban cities. But that's okay. Just keep bringing people from other countries over. Wow, we now have medieval diseases reoccurring. Now I know the people out there who are deniers of truth and logic, they're still under the mindset that nothing bad can happen in America, although we see the uprisings in Chile, in Venezuela, in Argentina, Brazil, Hong Kong, France, and the list goes on. That's just to name a few off the top of my head. People believe it can't happen here, but people are rising up across the world because of the same problems that we are having here: the wealth inequality, healthcare, education. That 1% ruling now literally the entire world, and people are getting sick and tired of it. And at some point, the debt slaves here in America, the debt slaves here, when their pensions crash, when they find out that they don't have any Social Security because it's been robbed, just like their pensions, when the debt slaves wake up, they're going to find out that they have nothing. And people that have nothing to lose, and they're going to get violent. And there will be an awakening in America, and it will be one of the most violent places on planet Earth, in my opinion. But it's not going to happen until the debt slaves wake up. And that's going to be a very, very scary time here in America. And we are getting closer to that time every day. When I look at articles like this, another 4,200 truck drivers lost their jobs in September as a recession slams America's $800 billion trucking industry. This is in businessinsider.com. Truck drivers' earnings have sunk in 2019, and hundreds of trucking companies have gone bankrupt. 4,200 truck drivers lost their jobs in September alone. 5,100 trucking payrolls were slashed in August. The first half of 2019, around 640 trucking companies went bankrupt. That's more than triple the amount of bankruptcies from the same period last year. Yet we're heading into this economic utopia that we're being told on the media on a daily basis, yet trucking companies are going out of business on a daily basis. Right here on yahoomoney.com, 1 in 3 people will have a parcel swiped. Your UPS, your FedEx packages for Christmas, 1 in 3, 33% of those packages are going to be swiped right off your porch into some crook's hand. And the article goes on here to say almost half of the people surveyed said that packages swiped from their doorsteps happened more than once, multiple times. This is where we're at in America now. You think when the lights go off, the grid goes down, if they flip that switch because it's windy today in California and half the state doesn't have power, you think nothing bad's going to happen. If you don't think anything bad's going to happen, you're in the Matrix, La La Land. You're drinking a lot of Kool-Aid. You are delusional. 1 in 4 shoppers didn't get a refund last year after a package theft, and they had to shell out an additional $119 on average to replace the item or items. Just think, this is the good times, and you have a 33% chance that your package will be taken off the porch at your house or your place of living in the good times. What do you think will happen when this economy collapses? You won't be able to leave your dog on the porch because they're going to take anything they can get. This happened, I believe, yesterday in Queens, New York. With schools out early, mayhem breaks out in mall in Queens. Hundreds of teens were throwing things and causing mayhem at this mall. People were assaulted. Police arrested one female. Think about that. Hundreds of teens assaulting people. I'm sure there was a lot of shoplifting. I'm sure plenty of shoplifting going on. Lots of mayhem, yet only one female was arrested for assaulting another female. One person arrested. Imagine where these kids' behavior comes from. It comes from their parents, right? The same type of people that we will all be dealing with on the streets of America when the lights go out, when the EBT checks stop, when the government subsidy stops, food shortage from the Midwest farmers, you name it. The flip of a switch because it's windy out, whatever the case, if anything goes down in our system here in America for, I would say, 48 hours, you are going to see chaos like you could not even think was possible. 48 hours max, and you're going to see massive chaos. I mean, here we are again. We're now in the holiday season time with this booming economy, and we have hundreds of people assaulting people at a mall on a Friday afternoon. How bad do you think this is going to get when the lights go out in America, when people are hungry, when they're starving, when they're really actually angry for something like their pension crashing, their Social Security not being there, their EBT not being there, when they're hungry? Imagine how people, when they actually have a real reason to be upset, what they're going to do. Not like these punks right here, but you will be dealing with some very bad people on the streets of America. There was an article on Zero Hedge today regarding America being hollowed out. I guess all the keyboard warriors out there don't see what's really happening in America. Again, the deniers of truth and logic, these are more than likely people that have no savings, living paycheck to paycheck, probably living with multiple people in their house. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Most people are, but these people should not be denying what's happening. What's happening is that the people that this is actually happening to, they believe this is normal. They believe that this is the good life. If you're living in a house with 8 people, it is now normal to accept that and say that this is the good life. We just look at what's happening. Big ticket items, or big ticket expenses such as healthcare, childcare, rent, college tuition, etc., have been rising at double-digit rates while you pay more for food and other goods while getting less quality and less quantity. For example, you go to the grocery store, you pay $5 for a box of cereal. It's half full and it tastes like cardboard. It's garbage. It's not the same type of cereal you were eating 10 or 20 years ago. They're using subpar quality, charging more and giving you less. And I don't get how anybody can deny that. These people are like zombies that don't get it. I'm going to continue with this article and paraphrase a little bit for you. Superficially, middle-class households are one layoff away from default and insolvency. So if a husband or wife loses a job, that couple right now is in big trouble. These are the type of people that can land up in a tent city tomorrow because their significant other, their husband, their wife, loses a job, and now they're at the doorstep of a tent city or being homeless. America is in denial. The average American is in denial while they are losing everything, including their country. But Americans are saving $10 on a pair of shoes, poorly made shoes, by the way, and we're told that this is a tremendous benefit of globalization and neoliberal policies. By the way, you might have saved a few bucks on the shoes, but these shoes will fall apart within a year. So the average American is just so happy to be shopping at Walmart, saving, a couple dollars on a pair of shoes that won't last a year. The same people who don't understand that their jobs got shipped over to Asia, the same people now who are making $10 or $12 an hour or having to have multiple side hustles, who can barely now shop at that Walmart, who can barely now afford to buy those cheap, garbage Chinese goods at Walmart. And you might be paying a little bit less, but remember, you get what you pay for. You're getting a lot less quality. And at the same time, we shipped millions of jobs over to Asia to get the garbage quality, to get the shoes that don't even last a year. You know what? I'd rather pay a little bit more for a product that lasts a lot longer. That's me. But I guess the average person doesn't think like that today in America. They just want cheap stuff today. They want cheap food today. They want to live for today. They don't think about the ramifications of tomorrow. So while the average American actually believes that they're actually saving something at Walmart, these are the people that can't afford to rent their own apartment, their own house, much less buy a house. Today, multiple people live together. These are the people that are living with 4 or 5 or 6 people in the same house. But they believe this is normal. This is the normalization of America now. The people that have anything are forced now into these risky casinos called Wall Street, the speculative financialization. Small businesses are declining. Erosion of our health here in America, physical health, obesity is at an epidemic. We look at the health, the mental health here in America. I forgot, I think literally around 30% of people are on psychotropic drugs now here in America. Over half of America is on pharmaceuticals, but we have a mental health issue here in America, and it's rising, mainly probably because of the GMO food, the terrible food, the terrible polluted water that people are drinking, the things that are floating in the air. I mean, there is a lot of things happening in America. So we have a physically unhealthy population and a mentally unhealthy population, and it is growing. And we're watching this rule of law. There is no rule of law now at the top 1%. There's no rule of law in Washington, and this is going to continue to trickle down into America as people watch that there's no rule of law at the top, so why should there be any rule of law at the bottom? So we are really becoming a lawless society. So I'm going to wrap it up right here on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. I know I went in a couple different directions, but I wanted to make some points, and I wanted to give everybody some things to think about over the weekend. And if there's one thing all of us can think about this weekend, it's this: how blessed we are to be right here in the United States of America. Now, I know that probably triggered a handful of people out there who wish we were communists, who wish that we were North Korea, who wish that we were China. I don't know why these people watch the show. I'm not saying that America's perfect. We committed many atrocities in these wars that we should have never been in, but I never said I love this government. But I do love this country because America still has a chance to change things, and we still have an opportunity to make a change here and to save this country. If America fails, the entire world is going to fail. It will never be the same. You know, to these traitors out there, for people who love communism, I don't know why they don't move to North Korea or China. I don't know why they don't go live in a socialist country, but yet they stay here and they criticize the greatest country on planet Earth, where they have more rights and freedom than anywhere. Yes, we've lost a lot of that, but America needs to wake up, and we need to get out of this bubble. We need to get out of this coma, and we need to start fighting to get our rights and our freedom back while we still have the chance. Because at some point, if we keep allowing this to transpire in the direction that it's going, we will not have the rights or the ability to make the change, because they're going to shut everybody up. They're going to make sure that all your amendments are taken away, and then you're going to basically be a debt slave for the rest of your life. We must take a stand right now. You need to be voting. You need to be raising your voice. You need to be waking people up at your church. You need to be waking up your pastor. We need to stop hiding in the closet and being so docile. That's what the elite want. They want you to run, hide, shut the door, and be quiet while they steamroll right over this country. You know, if you notice, the people that get out and put some skin in the game, that raise their voices, that are willing to risk things, that's how you make a change. People here in America are too afraid. And the question is, does America still have the backbone and the guts to change things? God bless every one of you, and God bless the United States of America.